Hello and welcome, Geri. I'm so happy to have you here and can't wait for you to share some of your story. But before we dive into the questions I have for you, can you quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, my name's Geri Ricks. I'm from the Eastern Tennessee area, and I'm an area technical manager for Fresenius Medical Care, which is a big dialysis company.
Amazing. And you are also a JobJoy grad. So let's go backwards. If you can imagine, right now, this is probably 12 weeks ago. So imagine back in end of January, early February when you signed up. Tell us, where were you? What was going on at that point where you were even considering career coaching?
Well, my job was getting quite stressful. As a manager, I was turning over an area of 6 people, and things were getting a little toxic because I didn't have the experienced crew, and I almost decided that it was time to find something else. My work-life balance was really bad. I just didn't have anything else but work, and it wasn't working well with my family.
Yeah, I remember talking about that on, the first time we spoke. We were talking about time with your daughter and time with your husband and how important
Yeah,
that was. It didn't matter if you had the best job in the world if you can't spend time with the people you love most.
that's right. And I was not real happy. It was all work, no play, and yeah, that life sucked.
Yes. And a lot has happened in a lot of different ways since, that decision was made. But tell us, after having gone through the program, where are you now? What have you learned? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling so much better now. And the biggest thing that I learned was really through the clarity work. Um, Writing down the answers to all the questions that you gave us, and it really led me to, I can be happy in the job that I'm in. It's just that I needed to like refocus, really, and set boundaries. That, I think that was my biggest thing, is setting the boundaries and saying, no, I'm going to work within a time frame, and I'm going to set this time aside for my family. And as I worked through that, I figured out better ways to manage my time while I was at work, and also delegate.
Yes, I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah,
If not, I was going to bring it up.
yeah. I I talked with my supervisor, and he even agreed that it was time to cut the cord and let these new hires go do what I hired them to do, and just see what happened.
Yeah.
And amazingly enough, you know, everybody makes mistakes when they're in a new position, in a new job, and I was there to help them through that. But then again, I have some wonderful biomeds that are really dedicated, and they took off, and I felt myself relax.
Yeah, I remember you being so afraid to delegate because what if they couldn't handle it and you were all worried about them and they were actually happy
They
when
were,
you delegated. That's what they want. That's what they're here for.
yeah. And one of them even volunteered to do a pilot program with me. I'm like, all right.
So much fun. I haven't heard about that one yet.
Yeah. So
Oh, good.
anyway, I'm at a point now, and the COVID part of all of this really helped me because it forced me to work from home. So I'm not out in the field, behind these guys all the time. And I had to delegate to them, and I had to trust them. And it worked out so well.
Yeah, and you bring up a couple of amazing points. The first one being that, many times when you work with a career coach, you think their job is to help you get another job. And with us, My job is to help you be happier at work, whether that's redesigning your current role, right, with
Mhm.
boundaries and time management and delegation, all of that good stuff, whether it's to get a new job, whether it's to change careers. We had women in our group starting new businesses, right? So all over the place, but success is really, what's going to make you happy. And sometimes it's not what we think, because you did get an offer. Like
Good.
within the 10
Yeah,
weeks, you got an offer and you
I
said,
got an offer, and this was really something because the offer was kind of what I wanted to do, but it didn't really meet, how do I say it? When we went through, what do we really want in a job, and we were writing all of this, our job description, you
yeah.
know, it didn't all add up.
So how
And
cool was it to be able to say no when it wasn't a fit?
I felt bad saying no because I really
Proud
did.
of you.
I felt really bad about it because I was like almost all in for that new job, and then the money wasn't right. It was more time on the road, less time with my family, and at the end I was like, I just can't do this. And so the tables turned, and during all of this, even when I was having to say no to this guy, here's my boss on the side, and I'm like, things are going great here. Do you have something else for me that I can do that would relate to training biomeds? He goes, funny thing you asked that, because he was in the middle of building a website, and he asked me to be on it with him and start making quizzes and things like that to help the biomeds study for their certification, which is exactly what I was going to do for this other guy.
And exactly what you wanted to do.
Yes. And I even just got off the phone just before I noticed you texted me, with the educator for Fresenius, and he was asking me about my experience in the disaster field, because I went on I went on one disaster team, and I was talking to him about my experience, and so he's developing training for that.
This is
And
amazing. Amazing. So for anyone listening, you don't necessarily know for sure what your path to job joy is going to be. It might actually mean staying where you're at, but making some big changes. So that is huge. And I'm so excited. And it's so much fun that I'm learning this right now as we're recording this too, all these new developments. And you brought up something else. You brought up the fact that, after the program started, COVID hit, right? And that threw a wrench into everything. But the fact is, the way that we teach job search, it is the same, and if not just as effective, even more effective when we're in the middle of turmoil or a crisis or an economic thing, because I'm not telling you to rely on the jobs that are posted.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So important stuff. Thank you so much. And then I have a wild card question for you, and that is this: any ahas, surprises, takeaways, anything you'd want to share about the program that maybe you didn't even expect?
Well, everything I've just talked about, kind of, I didn't
Yeah, right?
expect to get offered a job, and then I didn't expect that I would be turning it down, only to be working with my own boss on
Get
a
what
different
you want.
avenue that's not even really part of my job, but yet he's helping me go down that road that would lead me to something that I would love to do.
I love
So yeah, and so I'm really happy, and things are working out really well.
it. Wonderful. And I've got one more question for you. And that question is, what advice would you give to someone who is considering the Find Your Job Joy program?
Well, I know from experience about looking at things like that and saying, oh, is it worth the money? And I would say to them, you got to think about it. Take some time to think about it. But if this is where you're at in your job and you're ready to take that step, then this is definitely the way to go, because Kristen, you are great. And I love your personality, and I just loved every moment that I could be in the class. I couldn't always be there,
So that's what
but
recordings are for.
yeah, that is what recordings are for, and I got so much out of it. I'm so glad that I did that.
Thank you so much, Geri. I'm so happy that you were part of the group and part of the community. And I just can't wait to see how this continues to unfold for you. All good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you.